Hello and welcome to another episode of the Heal Deal podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Leona Allen, and today we'll be exploring the importance of looking to the past in order to heal the present. Now, I find this topic extremely important because as a self-improvement junkie, I got caught up in a lot of cliches. Don't live in the past, don't look back, only look forward. Just so many things that I found hindered me more than really helped me, because it wasn't until I looked into the past that I was able to move forward. It wasn't until I got to the root of my problem that I was able to heal. I had to look into my life. I had to look in my parents' life. I had to look into my parents' parents' life, and even went beyond that. And the deeper I went into the past, the deeper the healing. Because it just seems like when you forget about the past, you just repeat those same mistakes over and over again. But the purpose of the past is for learning, for growth, for wisdom. We can learn from the people that came before us. And in order to do that, we have to be intentional about learning how to study it and understand it. Dr. Leona dares you to be bold and open your heart to the truth and reject the evil, deceitful ways of the world. You do not have to constantly feel exhausted and defeated, facing the same struggles over and over. You can begin to forgive yourself and discover your self-worth as you expose the lies that have kept you in bondage. Renew your mind and discover the truth. Only the truth shall make you free. Freedom in chains, using the power of truth to break the bondage of lies in your life. Order your copy today at freedominchainsbook.com. Also available on Amazon. I love history. I love studying ancient principles. As a holistic practitioner, I'm understanding how so many things that helped us heal have gotten lost. And my reason for studying history and going back into the past is to recapture those things that have been lost, to recapture those things that have helped nations heal and build. Because I'm finding, based on what I've studied and how I look at the present today, we have a lot of problems now that didn't exist back then because of our lack of understanding the past so that we can learn from it. One of my favorite symbols that represents what I'm talking about is the Sankofa bird. Sankofa is a word in the tree language of the Akan people of Ghana that translates as return and get it. It's symbolized as a bird with its head turned backward with an egg in its beak while its feet face forward. And this is what it all represents. The bird's head being turned backwards represents the learning from the past, while its forward-facing feet represents moving forward, and the egg in its beak represents giving birth to new ideas and possibilities. The Sankofa bird symbolizes the idea that we need to learn from our past mistakes and use that wisdom to bring about positive change and progress in order to move forward and create a better future for ourselves and for our children. In order to heal physically, emotionally, and spiritually, we must be able to look back in order to move forward. We have to be able to understand our habits and behaviors through the lens of the past and use this wisdom to create a healthier future for ourselves and for future generations. And this will give us a better understanding of who we are and how we got to where we are. And that is what will break those chains that are preventing us from achieving the health we are seeking for ourselves and for our families. Now let's go into the symbolism of the Sankofa bird and how it's important to be able to reflect on past health and wellness experiences in order to improve your own health. Now remember, the Sankofa bird's head is turned backwards, and what this represents is learning from the past. And we need to learn from the past because a lot of us tend to repeat those same mistakes over and over again, expecting a same result. But we're unwilling to look back. We're unwilling to look into the root cause of the problem. Sometimes it's not just looking back 24, 48 hours, a week, 2 years, 3 years. Sometimes we got to look back into our childhood issues, our childhood traumas, and our childhood experiences. Sometimes we have to go beyond that, because a lot of times we tend to adopt what our parents teach us, and our parents are teaching us what they were taught by their parents. So a lot of this stuff is generational. A lot of this stuff is cultural. A lot of this stuff is based on religious beliefs, based on where you live, the color of your skin. So this is all important. So that's why we have to reflect on the past, and not just our past, but the past of our culture, our nationality, our families, and the things that our families have gone through. Because those patterns do pass on from generation to generation. Have you heard someone say diabetes runs in my family or obesity runs in my family? It's not that those illnesses run in the family, it's those habits and behaviors that run in the family. So a lot of these cultural diets, they tend to be passed on from generation to generation, whether it's right or wrong. Just because it was passed down from your great-great-grandmother doesn't mean it's right, because we need to understand how she adopted that. So we got to understand where this is all coming from and use those past experiences to say, okay, did this work for my family? If my family was diabetic because of the high sugar diets that they've had from generation to generation that got passed down to me, is this a cycle that I need to break? So this is what I mean by understanding the past so that we can learn from it and improve it and move forward. Because a lot of times we're basing our decisions on unresolved feelings, unresolved issues, things that we never tend to explore because we just give it up to, hey, that's just how my family always did it. But we do need to understand our past. We do need to understand our history. The more I dig in to my history, the more I was able to heal at a deeper level. So let me give you some examples of some past health experiences that you can reflect on, such as weight loss. What are the types of things that you have done in the past that worked for you? Because what happens is sometimes we do these things and we stop after we hit our weight goal. And then we go back to our old habits and then we gain that weight all over again. You may have to go back to the things that have worked and are sustainable. All right, because sometimes if it's something that isn't healthy for you, like weight loss pills or a highly restricted diet, they may have worked, they may have helped you lose weight, but if it's not sustainable, this is what you can learn from your past experiences and use that to evolve to a different program that is sustainable. So in your present program, you could start to create strategies that are more sustainable than past strategies that you've done. So reflect on your own personal experiences. Think of things that worked. Think of things that didn't work. Think about those things that made you fall off in the past. Was it work related? Were you working long hours? Was it emotional? Was it loss of a loved one? You got to understand those triggers. As you get healthier and you go deeper, you're going to realize a lot of the stuff can be based on childhood experiences. It can be based on your mindset and your beliefs. It can be based on the culture you were raised in. But keep it simple and just start to think about the things that you know about. And then as you continue your journey to healing, you can start to research and really probe into the deeper aspects of your healing. All right, so that's really the symbolism of how we need to learn from the past and reflect on these past health and wellness experiences so that we can heal our present situation. And now, after you really start to think about your past health experiences, we need to use this to motivate newer and more effective health practices. Now, in the Sankofa Bird, it was the forward-facing feet, and this represents the idea of moving forward. So even though the Sankofa Bird was looking back, it was still moving forward based on those past experiences. Now, this is key. When you hear a lot of motivational speakers talk about don't live in the past, I used to believe that and just try to move forward without really looking back. But we do need to understand how to look back, because not only do we learn from it, we can also get to see how far we have come. So there are benefits to looking into the past. So even though we're looking back, we got to keep moving forward. So that's the key. The key is not to just stay in the past and live in the past, but continue to move forward as you look into the past. So let me break this down with an example. Before we looked into the past of certain habits and exercise programs and mindsets that may have worked for us. So what you do is realize those past experiences that helped you and use those wins, those successes to motivate you to new and improved health practices as you move forward. Say you cleaned up your diet, but you were still doing processed foods, or you were going to restaurants, but choosing healthier or organic options. So to improve that health practice, maybe you would start eating more at home and preparing more of your foods at home. And then from there, and this is where I'm at, is actually starting to grow and produce your own food. So again, you're using the past to motivate new health practices. This is what I mean by moving forward as you look in the past. You always have in mind what did and didn't work in the past, but as you move forward, you're motivated to incorporate and improve these newer practices that'll help you achieve better health. So if you tend to be in that position where you're not changing, that's a way of being stuck in the past. You're just holding on those things that worked, but you're not allowing yourself to grow and evolve. So this is really important. That's why I love this symbolism, because it applies so deeply in many aspects of our lives. And then after you have reflected on your past health experiences and you begin to adopt these new practices, this leads to new health possibilities. So back to the Sankofa bird, the egg in its beak represents the idea of giving birth to new possibilities. You go from relying on the number on a scale to achieving your overall purpose in life. This can lead to new health possibilities. But if you keep this narrow mind on what the scale says and how you look physically, you're unable to notice these new possibilities. So as you get healthier, as you move forward, the possibilities are endless. You may start to create new products and services based on your journey. You may come up with an idea, a system that will help others move forward. Because when I was on my journey, the new health possibilities that evolved not only in my personal life and in my personal health, but in my business as well. My coaching programs evolved. It created new systems. It created online opportunities. It created invitations to speak. It created a new book that I wrote. So there's so many possibilities, because as I create strategies and tools to help others, at the same time, it's teaching me how to lead. It's teaching me how to have faith and believe and keep healing at a deeper level. So now it's getting to the point where it's less about the fact that I was pre-diabetic and my family had a history of diabetes. It's going back into more of the history of who I am and where I come from. It's coming from really just being here for the purpose I'm meant to be. And in order to do that, I have to nourish my body. I have to heal my body, and I have to maintain my health so I can take care of the things that I am responsible for. I'm responsible for my children, my home, my business. And in order to keep up with that, I have to be healthy. So when you reflect on your past and adopt new practices, you are open to new health possibilities. Don't limit yourself by the past. Don't limit yourself by the mistakes. Allow yourself to grow and evolve, and trust that everything will happen as it should. And other examples of new health possibilities that you may discover is improved physical fitness. It may have gone beyond what you can ever imagine. Better stress management. So maybe you had a hard time dealing with loss, or maybe you had a hard time dealing with disappointment. But then as you evolve and adopt new practices and these new possibilities, you realize that things that triggered you before don't trigger you the way they used to. You start to build new relationships. You start to maybe eliminate some of those toxic relationships that were holding you back. These are part of the new health possibilities. Recreating your boundaries, being able to focus on the things that are more important to you, being able to prioritize, being able to let go, having a greater mental clarity. Is having peace even when there's chaos all around you. You don't allow it to shake you. You don't allow it to break you. As these new practices lead to new possibilities, you become more creative. You become more resilient. You become more adaptive. So this is what it means to give birth to new health possibilities. And this will encourage you to have more of a bigger, holistic view of where you are in your health and wellness journey and where it could go. This concept can also empower us to take more of an active role in our own health. It requires being open to exploring other traditional healing practices. We gotta open up our eyes to all the different opportunities and learn to align with how it applies to our lives and our past. We got to be able to incorporate traditions and beliefs into our routines, and also be willing to let go of some of those traditions and routines that didn't work. So again, that's why it's so important to look back as we move forward. In summary, the concept of Sankofa translates as return and get it. In other words, it's a reminder that we have to return to our past, look back at our past, and what this does is provide us with valuable perspectives, insights, and ideas, and those lessons and that wisdom that is gained, and be able to apply them in our health and in our lives today. And with the lessons from the past, we can move forward with a greater confidence and understanding. Not only do we gain more information about ourselves, but we also gain information about the world around us and how we fit in this world. And the concept of Sankofa is a reminder that even in times of stress, adversity, difficulty, and disappointment, We can always move forward and create something better for ourselves and for our families by learning from the past. And that is it for today. And until next time, go out there and achieve more freedom in your health and your life. Take care.